Hey, Gyi, I've got sitting in front of me the 2023 Callrail Outlook for Law Firms, the marketing outlook for law firms brought to you by our very good friends at Callrail. I want to go through some of the data here and get your opinion, starting with their number one underperforming channel, which you are not surprised about, but I suspect much of our audience will be. And I suspect you have some really good insight as to why. The number one underperforming marketing channel is email. This, according to the survey respondents for the Callrail report. Why? First blush, that seems to surprise me. Why do you think that is the case?
There's two reasons.
Okay.
Reason number one, most law firm email marketing stinks. Firm newsletters that no one cares about, that look like they were built in 1985, and they're boring. They're all about the law firms. I mean, maybe if they send them to the lawyers at the law firm, maybe they do better, but no one wants to read these really boring, dry firm news updates. But there's another thing going on here, because remember, this is being reported to Callrail by presumably lawyers and maybe their marketing people. And that's that they don't even know how to attribute. How are they even measuring their email, right? Are they measuring? I doubt that many of them are measuring, some kind of case acquisition or even clicks from a URL or a call tracking number. And so they're looking at this survey from Callrail, and Callrail's like, "What's your most underutilized, your underperforming marketing channel?" Well, we can't really do any attribution to email, so it must be that one. That's my hunch of what's going on.
So interestingly, that was another piece of data that came out of Callrail's report. 65% of law firms. This kind of blows my mind. 65% of respondents said that they didn't know what metrics to track and measure. And I know this is a point that we have.
Yeah, that doesn't blow my mind at all.
Beyond belabored, right? Like we talk about this all the time. But I'm going to push this to you, Gyi. We're going to cover this really quickly because we've talked about it ad nauseum. What should we be measuring and tracking from a marketing perspective?
Volume of cases, cost per acquisition of a case, maybe cost per acquisition of a consultation, depending on what practice you're in. Volume of consultations. I think over other.
Wait, not the bounce rate? How about impressions, Gyi?
Man, you're making me so sad.
Sorry. I don't mean to make you sad on your birthday.
I will say this. I'm gonna try to be positive, Gyi, constructive. Impressions for branded search queries, that's a good indicator of demand generation, right? More people searching your name. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I like impressions there.
Okay. We've talked about
good
brand
way to
affinity,
measure
not just brand awareness.
Affinity. Yeah, right. Ideally, it's something you're seeing impressions for. Your name is such an amazing lawyer, or I love Conrad. I
want to be able to hire Gyi.
I'm trying to turn into Conrad.
You can go to Google Search Console to get that impression data. So it's there for you. That might be a good thing to look at. Okay. The big point on this and I was not surprised by this, but one of the big points coming out of Callrail's report was, I'm going to read these two different points. 97% of law firms who use pay-per-click said it is too expensive. 76% of firms say they would spend more money on pay-per-click if they had the budget. So I don't know who's running your marketing here, but that doesn't really make sense. Gyi, I'm curious. This has kind of led to a couple of questions that I've been fielding from clients and people on the interwebs. Should we be pulling out a pay-per-click now? Is it just too hard to play in that game? What's your take on that question?
It's too expensive for many firms. This came up in Maximum Lawyer on Facebook too. These lawyers are sharing their cost per acquisition of cases from pay-per-click. which we could do a whole segment on all the problems that thread demonstrated. But at the end of the day, it's going to vary wildly from firm to firm, right? So even down to the cost per click. So a lot of lawyers don't know this, but accounts with more history, better performance data, yada yada yada, click-through rates, they actually have better quality scores. They pay less per click, and you're even at the account level. You'll see even within campaigns. The second big thing,
can you go into the why of that? Because it's important to understand, like, oh, just because I'm bigger, like, why are they paying less per click? And you mentioned quality score. Go into that.
Yeah. Well, we could do a whole segment on this, but the TLDR is if you've got a long-term history. Remember, so this is what I'll give you my cynical view. It's not cynical. I think it's just true. Google makes 99% of its money from people clicking on ads. I don't know if it's most actually. A lot of them are search ads. And so therefore, Google wants to make money because they're a publicly traded company. And so they want to show ads that are getting clicked on the most. And so if Google has data in your account that says, hey, this account with these campaigns, this advertiser, their ads tend to get clicked on a lot more than their competitors do. Let's show more of them. So that is that measurement that I just articulated there is called click-through rate. And Google's like, hey, if your click-through rate's high, we're going to give you a better quote-unquote quality score. There's other factors in there, but for the gist of this conversation, click-through rate. And therefore, we're going to give you a discount. So if you're doing lots of volume of highly clicked on ads, Google loves it because they're making the cash register ring, and they're going to give you a discount because you're making them money. So they'll give you a lower cost per click with a better quality score, primarily driven by click-through rate. But anyway, back to this conversation about PPC and it being expensive and yada yada yada. It's not apples to apples. And here's the other big thing: if you're looking for incremental growth, you're a big national firm, or you're the dominate the market firm, you want to capture anybody who's searching for a car accident lawyer in your location, probably your state, unless you're regional, whatever, wherever you practice. You want to capture every single click. You're willing to pay an incrementally higher amount for those cases. If you're hey, I'm a solo and I'm looking to have a handful of cases under my belt, and you're turning away a lot of cases, a lot of
That's right.
consultations, a lot of qualified leads, your cost per acquisition is going to go through the roof. And that was one of the things that was actually mentioned in this thread when everyone's like, oh my gosh, your cost per acquisition of a case is $4,000. And the lawyer themselves said, well, yeah, we turn away most of the cases that come through anyway.
Right.
Well, don't do that. So you have to, again, there's not a blanket statement. You got to do the math for your own firm, and it's going to vary from one firm to the other. And so trying to even compare, I mean, I get the desire to want to know, hey, what's a good benchmark for cost per consultation? Well, I don't know. Are you a national advertiser? Do you have a long history in your account? Are you doing volume?
Right.
Or are you looking for like that needle in a haystack? If you're looking for a needle in a haystack, I don't know. You're going to spend a lot of money on search finding that case.
Right. And one of the difficulties with pay-per-click, of course, is that occasionally it happens, but rarely do those search terms that the end client is inputting indicate whether it is that needle in the haystack that you can go after, right? So it's very rare that the user inputs trucking accident lawyer with catastrophic injury, right? Yeah, right. I'll bet a lot on that. That'd be great. But usually it's the same as personal injury lawyer, which is the same thing that the guy who slipped in front of your house typed in, right?
It could just be lawyer.
It could be lawyer right?
Near me.
So yeah, exactly. Like lawyer near me could be someone looking for that catastrophic trucking accident, right? And so to your point, Gyi, my take is those firms that are volume firms and are willing to accept more cases, you're going to be more likely to do well in the pay-per-click games. Those firms that are extremely picky. And lots of you guys look at yourselves as being a better lawyer because you're very selective about the cases you choose. Well, great. The problem is we can't use pay-per-click to help you be really selective about the cases that you choose unless you accept a very, very high cost per client, right?
That's right.
And that's the balance, and it's difficult. Okay.
And
Yeah,
if you're getting unqualified leads through, refer them to another lawyer. If you're bidding on lawyers near me and they're coming through for DUI and divorce, and you don't do that, make some friends with some other attorneys and try. In some contexts, I know you can't get paid on a referral. I don't. Off the top of my head, I feel like.
But you can get paid. It doesn't have to be financial pay.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like there's lots of karma, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
There's lots of good. You're doing the hardest part. Affinity. Right. You're doing the hardest part. Yeah. There's tickets to the Kraken game. Blah blah blah.
Who wants to go watch the Kraken?
I want to watch the Kraken. They are.
I'm just kidding. Red Wings. Let's go Red Wings.
You know what? I'm a big Red Wings. You and I should have a bet on the Red Wings Kraken game. I don't know when that is.
We should.
They're playing the Devils coming up. All right. We promised no sports. And look, we've dived last podcast, we promised no more sports. And now we've replaced college football with NHL. Okay. This was a bit of a self-serving data point coming out of Callrail, but I really liked it. And I thought I would highlight it. I was surprised at how high it was. 48%, and this is not Callrail customers, by the way, 48% of firms say call recordings help them populate intake information. That made me really happy to hear. Gyi, how are you? Are you working with firms to kind of listen in on those calls? Are you seeing this as a common thing? What does that look like? What is your experience, law firms, using those call recordings?
So I love hearing that. And I got to tell you, my experience is that lawyers are very resistant to it. They don't want to record calls that, they're concerned about, rightly so, concerned about client confidences and that kind of thing. I think there are ways to actually implement that. You can protect yourself and do it ethically and effectively, but it is a revolutionary impact on understanding intake, being more efficient, you start to, some of these software with, speaking of AI, will analyze the transcript and start to help you understand, qualify, and so it can inform your content strategy. It can inform your media buy. It can inform your ad copy. It can help you improve client experience as they navigate the journey, because you're actually using the questions and concerns of your actual potential clients to inform your strategy. Game changer.
Okay. So I think if you are in charge of, I think the key with the call recording is someone at the firm who has authority to make decisions needs to spend the time to listen to those call recordings, right? And it is a free form analysis that you have to turn into something that you're looking at on a regular basis. Okay. It is if you're really spending a ton of money on marketing and you really want to know how your marketing is working for you, listen to the call recordings and let that influence your ongoing strategy.
Money makes it makes a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round.